Hi guys. So we've been reading Wishtree, and we're getting towards the end of it. And I wanted to make sure that you guys were able to keep up with the story and what was happening. Before we get started, though, I want to talk a little bit about what had been happening and a little bit about what I wanted to talk to you about at school, which is knowing what theme is. And there could be lots of different themes inside of a story. A theme is basically what is the story, what's throughout the whole story, what is it all about? And some of the themes in this story are friendship, trying to make friends. Another theme is it has to do with immigration, acceptance in a community, and a little bit about environment, like taking care of the environment, knowing the environment too. So when we left off, we knew that Stephen and Samar had somewhat become friends. And the bad thing that happened, so we got another problem coming up here, was that someone egged the tree. And that was following the man tying his wish on the branch the day before Wish Day. So it kind of left off with Stephen and Samar walking to school together. However, Stephen and Samar's parents coming out the doors of the two houses and kind of just looking at each other, not really acknowledging each other or saying anything, just that they're kind of watching the kids walk side by side, disappearing off to go to school. So we are on chapter 42. I didn't have much time to mull over my mistake. We had a steady stream of visitors as the hours passed. Early wishmakers came throughout the day. A little girl who wanted 20 hamsters. The grocer down the street hoping for a summer of sweet peaches. The usual. The local reporter returned. She peeked at some of the new wishes hanging from my boughs and took a photo of the broken eggshells on my trunk. Sandy and Max came to remove the police tape surrounding me. Francesca joined them. Today she had Lewis and Clark on thin leather leashes. Each cat was wearing an embarrassingly sparkly harness. Francesca discussed the broken eggs with Sandy and Max, while Lewis and Clark wove around her legs. I've got a tree cutter coming out later today to give me an estimate, Francesca said. So you're definitely cutting it down? Sandy asked, in what I like to think was a disappointed voice. Yep, no question. See that muck, all that water in the yard? Francesca pointed at the soggy lawn. Plumber told me this dang tree is plugging up some of the pipes. Least bit of rain and the yard turns into a giant mud puddle. Still, people are going to be sorry to see it go, Max said. He reached for Clark's leash and tried to unwrap Francesca. And I'm just going to stop for a minute because there's a cute picture of Lewis and Clark. As naughty as they are. I know, it's a good old tree, but sentiment doesn't pay the plumber. Sandy grabbed Lewis while Francesca attempted to unknot herself from the leashes. What about the animals and birds that live in the tree? She asked. That's where I'm used to using the old noggin, Francesca said. Every year the opossums and owls and such vacate the premises on Wishing Day. Strangest thing. It's like they know what's coming. She hopped over the web of leashes. Suppose they don't like being disturbed. In any case, I'm hoping the cutters will come late tomorrow afternoon. Most of the wishing will be done by then. So here we are. Francesca is finally, we know she really is going to cut down the wish tree. What will you do with all the wishes? Sandy asked. Put 'em in the trash when no one's looking. That's what I do every year. Whole thing's nonsense anyway. Max and Sandy looked at me sympathetically. I know, I don't have a sentimental bone in my body. Francesca paused to address the cats, who were yanking her in opposite directions. If dogs can do this, why is it such a challenge for you two? She turned her attention back to the police. But it's time, more than time. Well, We're going to swing by tomorrow, keep an eye on things. No lead on the person who carved that word. But the eggs, and people just generally riled, and the cut down, Sandy shrugged. Couldn't hurt to have us keeping an eye on things. Thanks, Francesca said. Not necessary, but I appreciate it. Lewis and Clark caught a glimpse of Bongo and lunged for my trunk. Whoa, you crazy felines, Francesca cried, reining them in. They hissed at Bongo. She spread her wings menacingly and let out her most ferocious caw. Lewis and Clark retreated for the safety of Francesca's arms. Once again, she was a tangled knot of leashes and cats. Sandy smiled. Maybe leave the cats at home tomorrow, Francesca. So that's the end of the chapter, and it sounds like the police still don't really have a lead on who carved the word leave in the tree. So we still have that problem. We still have the problem of the wish tree, red, possibly getting cut down. But the problem of Samar not having a friend has been solved. So out of all the problems that we have, at least one has been resolved. Chapter 43. That afternoon, I met my executioners. Not having teeth, I've never really understood the fear people seem to have of dentists. I've overheard conversations where the words root canal and cavity were used, but in tree world, those have different meanings. After seeing the tree cutters and their equipment, I understood. When a truck carrying powerful chainsaws along with something ominously called a stump grinder shows up, well, you know you're in trouble. Mind you, an arborist is a great friend to trees. We need our limbs trimmed just the way you need to cut your fingernails and your hair, although for us it's only once or twice a year, and it's called pruning. So they just introduced a new word for us, arborist. An arborist is a person who just basically takes care of trees. You've probably heard of Arbor Day. So that's what that word means. So when they say arborist, it's a person who takes care of trees. So these guys are cutting the tree down, which sometimes is an arborist's job too. I always feel especially elegant after a good pruning, but pruning is usually done with special shears that look like giant scissors, or with a small saw on a long pole. Stump grinders are generally not part of the plan. It didn't help when 3 men wearing orange hard hats went to Francesca's door and announced they were from Timber Terminator's tree service. I'm going to make a deposit on those silly hats, Mongo muttered. No, Bongo, I said, although the idea was tempting. Let's wait and see what's what. Maybe they're just here for some pruning. You really are an optimist. Francesca walked over to the men. This time, without Lewis and Clark, and they discussed the costs and timing. That's right, they talked about cutting me down even as they enjoyed the shade from my lovely limbs. Talk about insensitive. One of the men, he introduced himself as Dave, climbed a ladder to inspect my hollows. Agnes, Harry Spiders, and Big U eyed him warily, ready to defend their babies. You've got some critters in here, ma'am, he reported. Yes, I know, Francesca said, every year like clockwork. Bongo flew up to the spot near Agnes. Just one deposit, she said under her breath. That's all I'm saying. Situation like this, we generally advise cutting in the late fall, less likely to disturb any nests. Oh, I've got that covered, Francesca nodded, hands on her hips. Animals and birds hightail it out of here every May 1st, wishing day, you know. Dave scratched his stubbly chin. Wishing day? People make wishes, put 'em on the tree. Animals and birds don't like the noise. If you could do this tomorrow afternoon, the timing would be perfect. You work on Saturdays? Sure do. Dave shook his head. Wishing day, he murmured. Now I've heard everything. Francesca nodded. She patted my trunk. Yeah, craziness. Can't believe I've put up with it as long as I have. And that is the end for today. So I want you to think about, as you're reading your own stories at home, whether it's the ones that you got from the library or the ones that we have that were sent home, the articles, think a little bit about the theme of the story. What message is carried throughout the whole book? And also keep in mind that books can have more than one theme. All right? Tomorrow I'll share some more of those themes with you before we start reading the other chapters. And I'm thinking by the end of the week we might be starting a new read aloud book. Unfortunately, not all together in one room, but at least we have this. All right. I hope you guys are doing great. I miss you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, take care. Bye, guys.